Welcome, everybody. I'm gonna call this this meeting of the town council. Mike just took away my date. I don't know what date it is, the 27th at 7 p.m. If everybody would please stand for the pledge and a quick moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Trying to get out of that screen there. Okay, proclamations and presentations. Tonight we have one actual proclamation recognizing Earth Day, and then we have a request for International Firefighters Day. So for Earth Day.
Yes, Earth Day was, hi everybody, Mike Rosen, town manager. At the last meeting, we recognized that obviously Earth Day took place on April 22nd and today's April 27th. So unfortunately, because of our meeting schedule, we weren't able to have the proclamation done in time for Earth Day, but the council did authorize my office to put together the language for Earth Day, and that's what's in your packet tonight, the recommended or the requested language.
Okay, so here's the language, everybody. Whereas on April 22nd, 1970, millions of Americans came together to celebrate the first Earth Day. Oh, are you putting it up, Mike?
Well, that way everybody can see it, yeah.
There you go, okay. Yeah, I lost my place now. Residents from all walks of life encouraged people across the United States to address environmental issues and rallied around a single message. The success of future generations depends upon how we act today and every day. We commemorate Earth Day this year. We reflect on the challenges that we continue to face both locally and globally, and face those challenges with a spirit of togetherness and shared responsibility. And whereas Tolland has made various efforts towards addressing environmental issues for many decades, numerous trails throughout the community of Tolland have been established, fostering a spirit of stewardship and environmental awareness. Tolland has also welcomed alternative energy resources, including a solar farm, encouraging residential solar opportunities, and the community has approved of investments in geothermal energy in government buildings. And while we have made great progress in protecting our open space and our natural resources, we know our work is not yet finished and must continue to revisit areas where we can expand our support for alternative energies, energy efficiencies, and maintain the quality of our natural open spaces. Now, therefore, I, Tammy Nuccio, Chair of the Tolland Town Council, on behalf of the Town Council and the community at large, recognize April 22nd as Earth Day and encourage residents across the community to take part in education, community cleanup opportunities, or engage in personal activities to ensure Tolland's natural resources and public spaces will be sustained and thrive for future generations. And it's actually dated on the 22nd. So it's another one that's kind of past the deadline there, but does anybody have anything that they would like to change? Or for us to consider changing, I guess I should say. Okay, not seeing any. I think this language is good. Mike, I know it's late, but I can come down and sign it and we can put it up on the web page.
Very good, we'll do that.
So I believe it was, yeah, I don't think we have anybody to present that one to personally.
No, this would just go up on the website, that's correct. Yeah. Under the proclamation section.
Okay, and then we have a request for International Firefighters Day.
Yes, so so I'll just take this one. So every year, May 4th is the recognized day for International Firefighters Day. It's another situation where the proclamation, this is a first time proclamation request. The town council has never had a request like this in the past. So we do need to, we put it on the agenda tonight for your approval for us to draft the language. But similar to Earth Day, May 4th is before our next meeting on May 11th. So we'll get it right next year now that we're kind of going through all the proclamations for the first time right now, and next year we won't have to perhaps do the 2 steps, but so we do need your vote tonight to allow us to put together the language for International Firefighters Day, which again does take place on May 4th, but we won't be able to vote on it, or we'll vote on it tonight, but we won't be able to confirm it until May 11th.
Okay, are you guys creating a tickler file for these?
Oh, well, we do have the website that has all the everything that's been approved thus far. Some of them are one-time proclamations, some of them are cyclical. So the ones that are cyclical, we could do every year.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or anything they want to ask? All right, then let's just do a quick roundtable to see if everybody's in approval of a request for International Fire Day, holy moly, Firefighters Day. Brenda,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Lou,
Aye.
Kurt,
Aye.
I am an aye. So that one is unanimous. Mike, if you guys want to go ahead and get a crack on that one.
Yes.
All right, that gets us up to public petition, wow, this is going to be a long night. Public petitions, communications, and public participation on any subject within the jurisdiction of the town council with a 2-minute limit. Steve, you are going to be the timer, correct? Okay, if anybody has anything they would like to say, please raise your hand on a device. It's the blue little, or it's actually the raise your hand button under reactions. If you are on a phone, it is *9. When I call on you, you need to state your name and record for the name and address for the record. I'm really struggling. Anybody have anything they want to say tonight? Jim.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I would just like to say, hearing your proclamation about Earth Day, by the way, Jim Hutton, 14 Torrey Road. Just like to mention that almost 50 residents of Tolland were out on April 24th, Saturday, in honor of Earth Day, picking up trash along the roads of Tolland in the vicinity of our conservation areas. It was a great day. A lot of folks were out there participating and showing their support for Earth Day and its principles. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. It was a fun day. We found a lot of people found some really interesting things, but it was definitely a fun day. I got to go to 2 places, so it's great to get out there and do that. Steve, I didn't see you. I know you were someplace else.
Yeah, I was on Kindle Mountain. There wasn't too much trash, which was nice, but got an opportunity to teach a couple of high school students about geocaching. We went hiking, so they were excited.
That's something I'd like to really commend you guys on, Jim. You know, we did I was out first at Stoppleworth, and the trails in Tolland, the job that you guys do as volunteers in the commission and that is, and just people that are going out there doing it, it's so spectacular. You know, like we were picking up trash on trash on the roads because the trails were just so well maintained. There really wasn't a lot to pick up on the trails because you guys just do such a good job and getting people involved and really just taking care of our open spaces. And I can't thank you enough. You know, the job that you guys do is amazing. And as volunteers, I absolutely appreciate all the work that you put in.
Well, that's not nice to hear, Tammy. Thank you very much. And the reason for that is the Conservation Corps, another group of volunteers outside of our commission that is just a tremendous group of people that really are dedicated to taking care of those trails. And they do a fabulous job and are directed by our head steward, Bob Rubino. So
yeah,
hats off to them.
Yeah, all of you guys, it's definitely, it's noticed, observed, and appreciated. Colleen.
Hi, good evening. Colleen Udacek, 12 Blueberry Hill. I just want to first just welcome Sophia Johnson. I know you're not officially approved yet to the town council, but I just want to just say thank you for stepping up, and I look forward to your partnership with the town. And I also just want to say thank you to at least a few I've seen on social media, Lou and Steve, Brenda, and Tammy, just supporting the budget going forward next week. And that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, we are going to go on then to 6 for our public hearing items. Consideration of a resolution to appropriate $146,695 for the Recreation Center improvements and storage project in the Capital Improvement Fund. Go ahead, Mike.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Mike Rosen, Town Manager. So this item, this public hearing we're going to be having in a moment is specifically on the Small Town Economic Assistance Program grant, or STEEP grant. This was the grant cycle that happened in the year 2020, but it takes a little bit of time to get approval and then the paperwork. And we're at the stage now where we're actually asking the council, after the public hearing, to appropriate the 146,695 for the Recreation Center improvements and storage project. That, again, that number is comprised of $128,205 of state money from the STEEP grant program. We're also coming to the table with our buy-in, so to speak, of $10,000 from the rec fund and $8,500 from the testing fund we have that we do for different things such as crumbling foundations or other testing that we may do, having to do environmental testing in town. So we were able to find $8,490 and we're putting it towards this project as well. And if the public hearing goes well and council approves, this is the last step now where we would actually be able to sign contracts and go out and start doing the work, which is of course timely because, as we all know, and especially with the fire project, as you all got your pamphlets in the mail, John and his team are eager to start moving the PPE over to the storage room that's part of this project after it's properly renovated and insulated and getting all the temperature control done and everything like that. So he'll move the PPE over from the fire training facility and some of the other fire stations and sort of put them in a centralized location so that they're not scattered around town. And of course, the other important things about this project besides that are the ADA buttons to the doors. When you come in at the rec building, they don't have ADA button at the moment, so this will be a new ad for that. Also upgrades to the bathrooms, including some ADA upgrades to the bathrooms, a refinished and I believe more than just refinishing, but redoing the gym flooring, which is out of date and needs some love, and a couple other little things, but water fountains. So these days, especially in light of COVID, there's going to be a water bottle refill station rather than just having the water fountain, the old school one where you put your mouth down. Now it's going to have a refill station as well. So, and remember too, when the STEEP grant application went out in 2020, and council has heard this a couple of times because we come to council, I think 5 or 6 times about the STEEP grant over the last year. This grant cycle specifically had to have a COVID component to it. So we were able to build that in multiple ways into this project. We think it's a good project. And it's less money than usually STEEP grants go for up to $500,000, but we're very satisfied that we're able to get this project done for just under $150,000 all in. It's going to go a long way for a building that needs some attention.
All right, with Mike's explanation there, I think, Steve, if you want, we can get the public hearing open if anybody has anything they would like to discuss.
Yeah, Steve Jones would make a motion to open the public hearing.
Lulu, I'll second it.
Sorry, any discussion? All those in favor? Lou?
Aye.
I don't know why I started with you. Brenda?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
I'm an aye, so that's unanimous. With that, the public hearing is now open. If you have a question regarding this item on the budget, the consideration of the resolution to approve the money, same applies. If you're on a device, raise your blue hand. When I call on you, state your name and address for the record. If you're on a phone, it is *9. Not seeing any comment from anybody.
Steve Jones would make a motion to close the public hearing.
Brenda Felicia, I will second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Brenda?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Lou?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so that's unanimous. Public hearing is closed. Councilors, do you have any questions regarding this? Steve?
Yeah, Steve Jones, this is a quick question through you, Madam Chair, to Town Manager Rosen. What is the timeline for the project once the funds are approved, in terms of like, is it a phased approach that the climate control room is first, and then the renovations for the ADA and the gym are secondary? And yeah, just curious what the timeline is, if it's going to be about a year or so to complete.
Sure, that's a great question. I don't believe Scott Lappin's on the call. I know Bev helped me put the application together. I can tell you one thing is that we're not starting with the gym flooring because we need the gym to be good for the referendum next week. So we're not starting there. If the money is appropriated tonight, I would imagine that we're either going to go forward with either the ADA doors first or the storage room first. So I don't particularly know which one, unless Bev, do you happen to remember which one?
Well, we had to get repricing because of the time, and Scott did that with the vendor last week, and we'll look at their schedule. Also what's best for Bruce as well, because I know he's opening the rec center to some programs. So we're most likely we'll start with the fire department's storage room and you know, see how that all works out. The gym floor will be a little more time consuming.
Okay, thank you. That
But we
covers,
will let you know. So.
yeah, no worries. Thank you. And that covers it for me for questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, Bev, I would think, having been liaison with rec for quite a while just involved in the rec department before, I'm assuming Bruce is going to have to try to find a time when they don't have a lot of programming going on. It's too bad we couldn't have started it a little earlier, you know, but to get it, well, we weren't there, but he's going to have to try to find something that's not program intensive, because that gym they use for.
I know. We were hoping that too, but going through all the bureaucracy of the state paperwork,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I think Fair Water were notified last October.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're getting this on the council agenda as soon as we feasibly could. So
Oh, yeah,
this is how
no,
long it
it's not
takes.
criticism at all. I understand that totally.
It's the normal process with state for some of the grants.
And then also just to mention too, because to your point about the programming, you're absolutely right. We
Yeah.
even talked with Bruce when we were talking about the referendum on May 4th. We wanted to make sure we were planning, you know, that we weren't going to interrupt or only minimally interrupt his programming.
Yeah,
So we are considering that.
that's good. I know you guys would be. All right, anybody else have anything? No? All right, Steve?
All right, Steve Jones, make a motion that be it resolved by the Tolland Town Council that it hereby approves as follows. Consideration of a resolution appropriating $146,695 to the Capital Improvements Fund Recreation Center Improvements and Storage Project to be funded with the Small Town Economic Assistance Program known as STEEP, grant at $128,205, recreation program funds at $10,000, and a transfer of $8,490 from the CIP testing project account 205-000-72-722 460-2155, approved by the Tolland Town Council on April 27th, 2021.
Lou,
This is
I'll
great.
second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Brenda?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Lou?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
I'm an aye, so that is unanimous. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Bev, for working on that and you know, getting the grant put through. And I can't wait to see when it's all done. All right, that gets us to 7A, boards, reports of boards and committees responsible to council. Brenda?
Yes, thank you. This is Brenda Felucci. The first item was the Central Region Tourism Commission had their quarterly meeting today. There was a lot of information to go over. I will just cover a few things that are of interest, I think, to Tolland. The first is we did receive our $400,000 for our budget for this year. So we're really excited about that. With more people getting vaccinated and it being spring going into summer, we have a lot of people who have the desire to get out and enjoy the outdoors, enjoy socializing. And we understand the surge and are getting in line with a number of brochures that will help the residents of Connecticut find places to recreate, mostly outside, but also at museums, restaurants, and other tourism attractions that are appropriate for this, you know, the situation that we are in. We are going to be having our June yearly meeting in person outside at this time. Social distancing, masks, all that stuff. But we're really excited to be able to start highlighting some of the tourist attractions in the state in person. We're going to be having a brochure swap, they call it. And I was looking for the date. There's a, it is going to be, where did the date go? I'm sorry, May 7th from 10 to 12. A brochure swap is when you bring your brochures to this event and you trade them for at other places, so that like we'll have Tolland brochures down in Middletown or over in Bolton or down in New Haven. So I know that Tolland has created 2 brochures that we had brought to Middletown. I don't know, Mr. Rosen, I think that was like, what, a year and a half ago?
Correct. Yes, I remember
Yeah.
that. Yep.
Yeah, so, you know, this is a short time frame, but I didn't know if we wanted to create some brochures, print up some brochures that I can bring to this event in trade. The other requests that I'd like you guys to consider is we have an area in the front of Town Hall that has brochures and pamphlets and stickers and other things. That might be an area that we could use for tourism, where we could put the brochures from neighboring communities that might be of interest to our Tolland residents, you know, that I could do the swap for. You know, and then also include any Tolland brochures. If there's any businesses in Tolland that have brochures that are in the tourism, hospitality industry, I'd be more than happy to do a swap and exchange, you know, for them. And people can get in touch with me through my town council email address. June 12th is the Connecticut Open House Weekend. That's when many, many museums are open for free to encourage people to start the season in seeing what tourism attractions are in the state of Connecticut. And there are bookmarks that are going to be available for the Central Regional Tourism Commission that highlight different areas or different attractions within Connecticut. And it's something that I can pick up and bring over to the town public library and they can give out for free. So that's something I'm looking into too. Let's see if there was anything else on this list. That is it. I mean, there's a lot more, but I think those were the items that were of note for Tolland. Does
Can
anybody
I
have?
ask a couple of questions, Brenda?
Yeah, absolutely.
So first of all, this weekend was just a lot of fun between the cleanup and all that, and then doing the tag sale stuff, having so many sites there for Tolland. That was great. You know, Red and White, you know, the Tolland Inn, there were a bunch of places that were open in that. So it was a lot of fun. I liked seeing so many Tolland sites on there, but you just mentioned the museum thing. Do you have a list that you're going to be putting up on the Facebook page so people can go and like look at all the different museums that are going to be available?
Right. Well, I didn't get to the Tolland tourism part of my presentation, but I can speak to that now. This was for the Central Regional Tourism. For
Yeah.
our own Tolland Tourism Facebook page, the tax sale program that you were talking about was done by the Tolland County Chamber of Commerce. Sorry. And, you know, I tried sharing that and encouraging people to participate. The Tolland Tourism Facebook page is now starting to see over 3,100 page views each time I post one of our businesses. That's huge. We only have 450 or 60 people in the area who are following the page. And for us to be able to generate over 3,000 views for each post is huge. So I'd like to encourage everybody who's listening and sitting here at this meeting to please like the Tolland Tourism page. Please tag the Tolland Tourism page when you create a business post, anything that can do with tourism, anything for shopping, hospitality, restaurants, etc. It would be great to be able to have you to tag it. And I created a number of tips to share with businesses to help them promote that page. If any business would like to be highlighted on the Tolland Tourism page, they can just contact me and I'd be more than happy to either come and take photos or use their photos or movies. We could do video also and promote it on the page. And, you know, there's no limits as to how many posts we can do. I don't think we're going to flood the market. Did that answer most of your questions? I forgot if there was another.
Yeah, no, I was just like that. It's the museum list is really a good idea. Like you said, that's great. And I was just hoping that, you know, it would be something that would be on the Tolland Tourism page that we could flood out to people too. So.
Well, for the Tolland, I should mention that the Tolland Tourism page is anything that's within our borders. And I'm not sure if our museums are open yet, but as soon as they do, I will be sharing them on the page.
Okay, I wasn't sure if our or any of them were in.
Yeah, one of the things I was thinking of doing, because it's much more successful when we pair things together, was doing dating suggestions in Tolland. Things like stopping at Wildflowers to pick up flowers for your date, going on a hike at one of our conservation lands, then doing pickup at one of our restaurants or catering facilities that offer pickup, and then maybe enjoying a picnic in the park at Crandall with the takeout. You know, so if you have any ideas like that, that would be wonderful. And, you know, that kind of post can generate, you know, viewing of four or more different Tolland attractions. So, and then I'm thinking of a Mother's Day post, of course. So, you know, how to treat your mom if you're doing shopping for your mother for Mother's Day. And that would probably include a jewelry store and maybe some shopping at one of our unique shops in town. So, but again, any suggestions, I'm open to them.
Perfect.
So, thank you.
All right, do you have anything else?
That was it for tourism. For sustainable CT, all I'm going to, we haven't had a meeting, but I do want to mention, without stealing anybody's thunder, that we had a successful matching campaign that I believe only took about 36 hours to max out. And I'm only going to say that so that the presentation later doesn't, you know, I don't take away their thunder.
Good idea.
So that's it for that part. You know.
All right, let's go to B then. Reports of Town Council Liaison. Do you want to go ahead first, Brenda?
Yep. So land acquisition did not have a meeting, so there's no report. Blight meeting was canceled, so there's no report. Our next one is scheduled at the end of May. Board of Ed on April 14th. A very informative meeting. I especially liked the student reports. Tolland High School Trauma Department is having a virtual show, Battle of Broadway, May 1st and May 8th. It's $10 a show. You can find the information on the Tolland High School web pages and Facebook pages. The Board of Ed was busy planning or learning about the plans for end of year activities. On the 14th, they also did the superintendent's monthly financial report, very detailed and extensive. It was great to see all of that information. They also reviewed events that are happening for the end of the year, and I'll highlight just a couple. Field Day will be happening at Birch Grove and TIS. It's going to be modified, of course, a little bit because of COVID. Tolland Green Day is going to happen for TIS. I know the kids really enjoy looking forward to that. And if you're in the green and you see a lot of people dressed up in colonial costumes, you'll know what's going on. It's always a pleasure driving by and seeing those kids.
I love that day. I hated making a dress for that day, but I loved that day.
I was able to give my daughters dresses that I wore for the bicentennial celebration of 1976. So it was kind of cool.
I had to make mine.
Yeah. Tolland High School is having a prom. It's going to be at the high school. There's going to be indoor and outdoor parts of that. Again, COVID friendly or COVID appropriate. They are making plans for senior day and graduation June 15th. And I believe they're still doing, like last year they had a parade, a drive-through parade as part of their senior day. So watch for that. Last year I was able to stand on the side of the road and wave to all the seniors. It was great seeing them so excited about, you know, their impending graduation. They also, the Board of Ed also reviewed their healthy food certification, which was approved. Tomorrow night, they're going to be discussing some budget info and COVID pandemic updates. There's no enclosures with the agenda for those items. So I'm sure there's a lot of information and it'll be very timely. So that was it for Board of Ed. For planning and zoning, are you guys ready?
I already know it. Go ahead and shout it from the rooftops.
Yes, Dunkin' Donuts is getting a drive-through. So there are a couple zones in Tolland where they've allowed drive-throughs by special permit, so you have to apply. So Dunkin' Donuts was the first one to for food service to get this through. There's going to be another public hearing. I think it's at the next meeting for a drive-through. A QSR, quick serve restaurant, is part of a gas station. And the, I believe it was 53 Merrill Road, the Wilbur Cross parcel, that has been approved for pre-development site grading. So, you know, those are the two big things that happened at that meeting. And I think that is it. Oh, let me give you one more update about Dunkin' Donuts. They expect the construction to happen at the end of July or beginning of August. It'll take about 3 weeks. And I was very impressed with the presentation. They really got to know their customers, and they are keeping an area in the back in a gravel parking area because they're aware of how many large vehicles they have that use that parking area to stop. And I know everybody who goes to horse shows really early in the morning on the weekends are very thankful to be able to have a Dunkin' Donuts that will still be able to accommodate their large vehicles. They have to park and walk in, but still. So those were my reports. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Steve?
Yeah, Steve Jones. So on April 21st, the Water Commission had one of their rare Wednesday meetings. They normally meet on Mondays. They authorized the chair to go into a contract for a leak detection survey for the two systems that have had unusual issues with drainage and leaking. They did an update on the DOT replacing the bridge on Route 74, which they want to work with Mr. Lowry at CWC and have them provide some oversight and engineering assistance. There was, overall, the financials were really good. Everything's up, though the usage is down right now. I think it's in part just from the changes of COVID improving and people aren't home as much. One other update is the College View Apartments. Bev is working with CWC on the water easements, so that's moving forward, and otherwise no updates regarding water for the Fieldstone Ridge potential development. And then for the 22nd, again, I think as Councilor Felucci mentioned, a lot of the business right now with the Conservation Commission is regarding WANET, but a couple of events coming up is on Thursday, the 29th. They have an educational session at the Parsiac Conservation Area at 5:30. So I believe counselors and the public are, if they're interested or invited to attend, I believe myself, some of the conservation members, I think David Corcoran's going, town manager's going, and it's kind of a site study of the emerald ash borer issue and oak tree issues that are hazards along that trail especially, but as well as others. Additionally, they motioned to update their schedule for 2021. So June, July, August, September, and October, they're actually having their second meetings of the month at conservation areas. So they'll be doing quicker meetings then and going for a hike afterwards. So members of the public that are interested in hiking on the trails of the commission and learning more about the trails would be encouraged to check out their updated schedule. And there was a pretty active conversation about tick research based on some concerns on social media about the boom in tick populations in the state and in the trail areas. So there's a lot of discussion and reports discussed about possible mitigation strategies that could be used. And I think that about covers it for me. Other than, again, want it, which I'm excited to hear from the whole conservation team, and great job to everybody this past Saturday for the townwide cleanup.
Perfect. Thank you. John.
WPCA did meet. I was unable to attend that meeting. I will refer you to the minutes, but I will say that I did review the minutes, and Director Lappin said that everything's running smoothly. There wasn't a lot to report on the projects that we've been talking about. The Tolland Stage Road project is complete, and there's not much going on up at College View. It was a quick meeting, I should say, and that's about it.
Perfect. Lou.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That the Birch Grove Building Committee had 2 meetings over the past 2 weeks. Our normal meeting on the 20th, as well as a special meeting yesterday that we discussed and approved many of the technology as well as furnishings and finishings within the school. That it was a lot discussed. For all the specifics, I'd refer people to the minutes to see everything that was discussed, but it was basically that we had gone through line by line item on all the technology that that we had put off, as well as the furnishings that decisions that we put off until we got a final decision on the unsuitable soils issue, where once the state agreed to come forward and pay for the unsuitable soils and at 100% or at the reimbursement rate, that we were able to restore some of that money back into the budget, which allowed us to go forward on all these things. That we approved pretty much 99% of all of the items put forward. A lot of it was the dealing with the technology issues, as well as some of the furnishing issues. That the school is looking amazing. That it's great to see that we are now in the home stretch for the school to be finished, and that we are still on budget. That we still have. I know, because you're waiting. You're waiting for me to say.
I'm waiting to hear it, Lou. I'm waiting.
No, we are still on budget. That we are still that there's on both contingencies fund for the construction manager as well as the town. We are still very healthy. That everyone was, all the members of the building committee were very conscientious, given that we still have several months before we're finally supposed to get the school turned over. So we're making sure that we are leaving ourselves with enough buffer where if anything comes up that we need to cover, that will be taken care of. On one of the issues that was creating a substantial discussion amongst the board, that the construction management team actually came forward and said that they would be willing to defray 50% of the cost. So they stepped up in a big way to cover those expenses, which again, otherwise probably would not have been approved. So it worked out very well for everybody. That we're having our normal meeting again next week. So hopefully I'll be able to give you a further update. But as far as the big decisions, these past 2 meetings were probably the largest that we've had in over a year since the unsuitable soils issue came up, and that the budget tracker and everything is showing that we are in a very good place with not a lot of anticipated change orders coming forward. So hopefully that'll continue, and that come August that we'll be walking into this wonderful new school that will be state of the art and best that we can provide for our students. Thank you.
I just want to hear the on budget and on time, right?
On budget and on time. That's what you
how we
want.
like
That's
it.
what we have.
Great. Thank you very much. Kurt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only thing I have to report is John and I both went to the Mental Health and Substance Abuse Task Force last night. Only thing to report is we picked our new chair, Becky Moore, so she's gonna be leading us through this, and we're gonna be we set our meeting schedule for the 1st and 3rd Monday of every month. So that was pretty much our meeting.
First and fourth,
Third,
first and third Monday.
that's correct.
Awesome. Can't wait to see what you guys do there.
Absolutely.
All right, for me, let's see, I had an Eastern Highland Health District meeting. And in that meeting, we had a really long kind of conversation about getting our senior centers open and what people could be doing and you know, what other towns were doing and kind of where we were going. This has become like a big issue in a lot of the towns, is the seniors wanting to get back into the senior centers, and we're making sure that we're reviewing everything, that everything is being done with all the safety provisions and everything in mind. So there's a lot of work going on with that. I'm sure Bev could give us an update at some point. Also looking at summer camps, not only what's available from the governor, but we really want to encourage parents to get kids out to these summer camps because it's socialization, it's safe. There's a lot of regulations that are being put in place in that, but we really kind of need to get kids back out and trying to normalize their lives again. Spoke about outdoor graduations and the regulations with that. And then we had kind of a quick go round about like town hall, in which town halls are open or not open. And, you know, Tolland has been ahead of the curve on this. Our town hall has been open since July, and we've done a great job of everybody having access to town hall and town hall being safe and cleaned, and everybody's really stepped up, and we had everything in place in that. So there's some towns that still don't even have their town hall open. So kind of getting those towns again to open up services in that, especially knowing that as of May 19th, all regulations are going to be lifted with the exception of mask limitations if we stay on a good trajectory. So we also talked about bad tick year. This is a very bad tick year. They're expecting massive amounts of ticks to make sure that we're getting out to people to know to check ways to prevent it, and that same thing with your animals, making sure you're looking at tick control for your animals and such. Let's see. So they also said that we're still running test sites, but testing has slowed down significantly. And the group that was popping right now, back when I had this meeting, which was about a week ago, I think, was the high school population. Starting to see a lot of positives in that populace. Not a lot of symptoms or anything like that, just a lot of positives in the high school population. All teachers have had their first round shots in our areas that have wanted to get them. They're expecting the overall demand for shots to wane around early May. We're also looking at a program to do homebound people. The Highland Health District is looking at an opportunity to go and hit areas that are more homebound. So it was a good meeting. We're still really mainly COVID focused, so not a lot else was really talked about in regard to the other stuff that they do, but those were the overall highlights. And then I had, let's see, let me get rid of that one. I had a commission on people with disabilities. And in this meeting, it was actually a good meeting. We talked about the survey that is put out, and I actually just released a bunch of information online today on multiple pages to try to get more people to go and take the survey. There were only 12 responses from people in Tolland to date on the needs assessment survey. And of course, the three issues, we know the three issues that were most talked about, which is transportation, employment, and housing. So we talked a little bit about how to increase the engagement and try to get some more responses. We were one of the members was gonna reach out to talk to the Superintendent Willett to see if he could put something out. I'm putting out stuff on quite a few pages, and we're trying to encourage, this is not just a Tolland survey, it is a state of Connecticut survey, but we have the ability to pluck out the Tolland information and look at it. So we're going to be doing some work to try to get it out to more people when we can. And then we talked about kind of similar to what Brenda was just talking about with the brochures, is we're looking at potential ideas for educational materials to residents, identifying resources for town residents for where they need to go to get certain information, be it at the state level, the town level, affordable housing and transportation, all kinds of things, kind of like a gathering of information of where people can go to get stuff. So next meeting, they're going to be working on reviewing their duties and responsibilities. And then everybody is supposed to be coming back with specific suggestions on what they can do to meet those duties and responsibilities, and kind of build their action plan for the year. So it was a good meeting, a lot of positive movement forward, and kind of an overall charge to try to get as much as we can, as many people as we can to participate in that survey, so we have a good block of information to work with. And that's it for me. That gets us to new business. 8.1, appointment of a new member to the town council.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Mike Rosen, town manager. So as you all know, Cassandra Forsyth resigned, as she mentioned at the last meeting with us, from town council. And Cassandra was Republican, and the chair of the Republican Town Committee, Lisa Burns, has told us that the RTC has endorsed Sophia Johnson for the vacancy. This would replace this with the remainder of Cassandra's term, which was set to expire this coming November, as all councilors are concurrent. So they were asked to put this on the agenda for this evening. And with the vote tonight, the town clerk, Kathy Pagan, is in the audience, and she'll be able to swear in the candidate with your approval.
I see you, Kathy. How you doing? All right, so I'm trying to find 8 on my agenda here. Steve, do you want to? Well, at this point, we just have to do the vote, correct? Like, there's no motion for this, is there?
There is a resolution that the council hereby appoints Sophia Johnson as a council member. It's on page 10 of your packet.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Do we have to vote on this, though? I
Yes.
think we do, right? We have to go around and
Correct.
vote on it. Steve?
Yes, there's a resolution.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask one question. I don't know if you'd rather wait for the motion second before we have any discussion, or if I could ask the question beforehand.
Why don't you do the resolution when we get to discussion, we'll ask the question.
Okay, sounds fine. All right, Steve Jones, I'd make a motion that be it resolved by the Tolland Town Council that hereby appoints Sophia Johnson as a council member, approved by the Tolland Town Council on April 27th, 2021.
Lulu, I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? Steve?
I know, big surprise. I just wanted to do one quick clarifying question. Just realizing at our last meeting, we had appointed Sophia to the PCC. I just forget when we had the 2 Board of Ed members resign, and one, I think Madhu was on the Nonprofit Housing Corp, and another one. Did they have to resign from that position after they were officially sworn in, or in case of Sophia, I don't even think they've had a PCC meeting yet. Does she still technically have to resign from that position after being sworn in?
I'm actually wondering the same thing, because I know Joe Mateus is still on AG, but he's on PCC, but he's like not a liaison to AG. So I almost think Mike, if you want to weigh in, maybe it would make sense for Sophia.
Yeah, let me just check with Kathy. Kathy, do you agree with that, that Sophia would need to resign from PCC?
She actually does not need to resign.
Oh.
No, according to our charter, as soon as she's appointed to the town council, she's automatically not on the other one.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it works out because Cassandra was liaison to PCC. So Sophia, you'd be picking up that liaisonship anyway. So you'd still be involved with the PCC. You just can't be an active voting member on PCC.
I understand. Thank you.
Is that good, Steve?
Yeah, no, that was just a quick clarifying question. Thank you. And welcome aboard, Sophia, once you're voted in. Pleasure to work with you and moving forward into the summer.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Steve. It was one that I had also. So thank you for asking. Anybody else have any other discussion item? All right, then we will go ahead and vote. Brenda?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Lou?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
I am an aye, so that is unanimous. Welcome, Sophia. Now Kathy's going to have you swear your life away.
I am ready. I'm ready.
Welcome, Sophia. If you would please raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Connecticut, as well as the Charter and ordinances of the Town of Tolland, and to faithfully discharge your duties as member of the Tolland Town Council to the best of your abilities, so help you God?
Yes, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much. All right,
Sure, you know
Sophia.
what you're getting into.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And bumps and bruises, celebrations and healing. I'm all for it. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for stepping up and volunteering. We appreciate having you here. And now you get to vote on everything going forward. So, all right. So that gets us to 8.3. No, 2, sorry, we skipped 2. Request to appoint a town council liaison for the Historic District Commission.
Sure. This was a request that was made at a council meeting long ago, it seems like, and it has resurfaced. So this is a new liaison appointment. There, as far as we could tell, there was never a council liaison to the Historic District Commission in the past. So, that's why there isn't a liaison currently. So we do need a formal motion to appoint a town council liaison, but it will be up to you to determine who you'd like to send. Paul.
Okay, and I wanted to kind of give a little background on this. When it first came through, we've had to do a lot of research, talk to Sheila, talk to a bunch of other people, because we haven't had an appointment to a new commission other than the ones that we currently had for quite some time. So Mike being new and not having it in our timeline, we had to do the research to figure out how to do it. And then we just realized we can just do it. So that's what brings us to tonight. So what is the vote on this, Steve? Is it just to create a liaison position?
Yeah, I believe, let me just pull up the packet. I think it was, yeah, it was just, I think, a motion to appoint a town council liaison to the Historic District Commission.
That's
Okay.
right. There's no resolution for this. It's just a motion, simple motion.
So then, Mike, this just becomes part of like the next council. It'll be part of the liaisons that are available going forward, right?
That's right. And certainly what I was expecting was that this current council will start sending a member. I was figuring that you would decide that perhaps tonight as well. But then going forward, this would just be on the roster. Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Steve. You want to read the resolution, please?
Sure thing. So, sorry, I just lost the page for a second.
Sure. If there's no resolution, it's just a motion.
Yeah, so do we have someone in mind at this point, or are we just making a motion to
Make the
certify?
motion and then we can discuss it.
Yeah. Okay.
I figure if you
So
make the
Steve
motion and
Johnson-
we second it, when we discuss it, we can see who has interest in that.
Okay. All right. So Steve Jones, I make a motion that we appoint a town council liaison to the Historic District Commission.
Brenda Flucy, I will second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes, the Historic District Commission did have a request that I end up being their liaison. I just want to put that on record that we do recognize that they did have a specific request in mind.
So Brenda, are you comfortable with that? Because you have an awful lot already from like a liaison
I could give up
perspective.
other ones. It seems to go hand in hand with the tourism that I'm doing. So I'm agreeable to giving up things, blight or land acquisition, or where were my other ones? I had, blight, land acquisition. I have planning and zoning, but again, that goes hand in hand kind of with tourism. So if somebody would like to take land acquisition and blight, I guess I have to figure out what night that their meetings are on too.
Yeah,
I think Wednesdays. I forget.
they're Wednesdays, Mike?
No, I have. Let me just double check. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
double check and see what day Historic District is on.
I should have looked.
They
I
don't
do have
have
the
it
schedule up
often,
if
I
you want
don't
me to
think,
list
right?
them.
Yeah, the thing about land acquisition is it only meets as needed. Blight has a monthly meeting. It's usually the last Thursday of the fourth Thursday of the month, I believe.
Mhm.
But because we are in emergency, public health emergency, they have suspended enforcement of blight ordinances. So they're not meeting unless something really comes up.
Okay,
Third Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Okay.
third Wednesday at 7 p.m. Okay, Sophia?
Hi, I just wanted to ask, I believe that if it's, I don't know if you do co-liaisons, but I think it would be a great opportunity for me to be able to be immersed in Tolland's history as it becomes my history as well. So I don't know if it's possible to do that, because I would love the opportunity to learn more about the history and be completely immersed as a liaison and be able to do research and things of that nature. I'm not sure if that's the focus of this group, but I just know that I'm enthusiastic when it comes to anything that has to do with history, especially of the communities that I live in. So I don't know if it's something where they could be a co-liaison or, I'm not sure, but I'm just asking. It'll be a privilege.
Thank you. The only thing, let's see, the only thing we really have co-liaisons on right now is Board of Ed. And that's just honestly, that's a philosophical thing from me where I think everybody, you know what, actually I have to update you with what months you'll have Board of Ed, that everybody should be involved in the Board of Ed by some way, but I'll let you know what the Board of Ed one is. But yeah, let's talk about that. Steve?
Yeah, Steve Jones. I was just going to offer up, even though they only meet as needed, taking over land acquisition, if Councilor Felucci is amenable to that, since normally a lot of the acquisition is related to conservation parcels, and being the liaison to the commission, kind of keeps it all pretty synergetic.
And
Yeah.
I can give you all of any background information I have and any documentation I have over the past 3 years.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It does kind of work in with what Steve already handles. So if we're all good with that change, Steve, if you want to take land acquisitions, and then, I'm not opposed to doing co-liaisons for the historic district for now. They've never had one, so they'll have an influx of people, but it is a good opportunity to kind of get up to speed on Tolland, if, the history of it and all of that. So I'm not opposed to that. Anybody else have anything?
I'll just say I'm not opposed to that as well. I mean, once in a while I can't make certain meetings, and it almost would be great if you could ask another counselor, if you can't make a meeting, hey, can you make it? I'm not available, sort of thing. I mean, ideally you want to make them, but
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
I'm good with that. So then we're voting on the making a liaison. We'll have Brenda and Sophia be co-liaisons, and Steve will take land acquisition. All right. All those in favor? Brenda?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Lou?
Aye.
You muted yourself, then
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
Sophia?
Aye.
First vote down. There you go. All right. 3. Now I'm excited for this. We have a special guest with us tonight, Jim Hutton, who is the chair of the Conservation Commission. He's going to give us an update on the item that Brenda mentioned briefly in her sustainable CT update, which is Wannet Park, and doing a stargazing area up at the park, and starting down the road of turn Wannet into a town source for seniors and for everybody else. There's a whole presentation. Are you ready, Jim?
I am. Thank you, Madam Chair. I
Okay.
was going to ask you if I can share my screen so I can put the slides up.
Okay, Jim, do you want to share the screen rather than me? I'll give you the co-host then.
Either
Yeah.
one, Mike, I can
Yeah,
either
go.
call out next slide or I can do it myself.
Well, you have the permission now. If you'd like to share your screen, you may do so.
All right, let me do that.
I also just want to acknowledge, I know there's many members of Conservation Commission here tonight, as well as Conservation Corps. So thank you all for being here.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you all for all the work that's gone into this. I know Bob's not on tonight. He texted me he's out of town, but I know he put a lot into this.
All right, let me know if you can see that screen now.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. The Conservation Commission wanted to give the town council an update on what's going on at the Wannet Park. We give it several names. It's often referred to as a park, but it really was designated to the Conservation Commission. So we call it the Gwinnett Conservation Area. And with me tonight also discussing the park and our progress are Ben Christensen. He's the Vice Chair of the Conservation Commission, and Peggy Webb, another commissioner. So let's see, I'm trying to advance my slide here. It's not happening. Let me try this. There we go. So the Gwinnett property is located on Sugar Hill Road. It was donated to the town to be used for the benefit of Tolland seniors. And you can see the outline of the property in blue on this slide. And you can note that it surrounds a residence right now. So that's an issue and sensitivity that we've had to take into consideration. Back in 2020, not too far back, there was a resolution to pass management of this property on to the Conservation Commission after the commission discussed this with the planning department. And the property had been in the town hands since 2000, but it was only until 2020 that we started looking at it and seeing that there were opportunities to combine conservation and access for seniors. So of note here on this slide are the restrictive covenants in the deed, which is that it should be used for open space or used for recreation for Tolland senior citizens, or as a seniors park purposely and specifically designed to be used for and by and for Tolland senior citizens. So that's just a reminder as to where we came from on this project. I'm just putting up for you the survey map to more clearly show the property. And one thing to note on this slide is that the residential property at the center has survey pins at the four corners. We were able to locate those during the project. So we do have a very good idea where the property boundary is for that residence. And now know we won't encroach on it during our process. It was very important to us to maintain the privacy of that private residence and the surrounding residences as we move forward with the project. And with the next slide, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Ben Christensen.
Thank you, Jim. Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, everyone. So just a little bit of background. I believe it was December 2019, UConn landscape architecture students designed park proposals for this property based on the guidelines that Jim just discussed. Several people on this call tonight were at that presentation and probably remember it. One design, the one on the screen here, was selected as favorite or the winner of the presentation. So when we really started looking at what we're going to do with this property based on the requirements in the deed, the needs of our constituents here in town, in keeping with the open space passive recreation that the Conservation Commission is about, we highlighted key specific elements in this design as well as other designs that were presented during that. And Jim, if you could go to the next slide. So we worked together to develop a 4-phase plan for implementing a passive recreation open space park focusing on senior accessibility. Phase 1, which we were hoping to do this year, involved specifically senior ADA accessibility. That was key. That was what the people who donated the property wanted, and it's something that we're taking to heart. Respect for the neighbors, as Jim pointed out on the boundary map, it is kind of a unique parcel, so we do have to keep that in mind. And some interesting and unique features that we're going to implement. And then Peggy's going to talk about a little bit more in detail, but this design you can see on the map is kind of our plans for phase 1, which we're hoping to do this year. Jim.
Next slide.
Yes, please. So just kind of bring this down to ground level on that previous slide. For those who don't know, there's a historic silo on this property that we are really looking to incorporate as something in the park that can attract people to it and allow them to use the space. So I just wanted to kind of give you a view from from this looking at the Labyrinth pollinator garden parking area that we're looking to implement this year that Peggy is going to go into a little bit more detail about now. So I'll turn it over to her. Thank you.
So, hello, I'm Peggy Webb. So you are looking at the labyrinth. The labyrinth, perhaps you all know, but a labyrinth is not a maze. It is, they are at least 3,000 years old, the concept of the labyrinth, from all over the world, including Native Americans, Greece, France, everywhere. It's amazing the different cultures that came up with labyrinths. And they're basically a meditative tool that people walk through. It's not a maze, so it's not meant to confuse you. You just keep walking and walking and thinking and meditating. And our labyrinth is going to be wheelchair accessible, as you can see there. And in the center, we have planned to have a compass rose, which is there, and a celestial clock. Celestial clocks are also a very old, ancient device. They used to be set up on the top of a mountain, and then you would use the shadows and the moon and the sun and the stars, and you could tell the time of the day, the time of the year, all sorts of things. And we thought that this would be wonderful for seniors and other people to have both of these. And as you can see, there's a bench along the outside. We're planning to have a few benches. Right behind the labyrinth, you see the pollinator garden. And the local garden club, Tolland Garden Paths, has donated their efforts and skills and knowledge to work that garden and donate pollinator plants that will attract pollinators, butterflies, moths, bees that we need in the environment. And so that's another key element of this. Do you want to move on to the next slide, Jim?
Sure.
So as mentioned, we joined up with Sustainable Connecticut and put up a patronicity site. And we started with a goal of $9,500. Half of that, which is matched by Sustainable Connecticut. And you can see how that initial goal was divided between the different elements of phase one. Well, I am happy to report I checked the actual stats. We went up on April 21st, and exactly 23 hours later on April 22nd, we had met our goal of $4,750. And so we are now, because we have a lot of people in Tolland that are excited and are donating, and it's really, it's gratifying. So we are now looking to have a stretch goal. And Jim, do you want to talk about that stretch goal?
Yeah, thank you, Peggy. I don't have another slide. This would be our last slide of the evening, but I do have a couple more things to mention. As Peggy said, we were absolutely impressed with the interest from the town and how many people were very quickly on board with what we were doing and donating money. So last time I looked at the site earlier this evening, our goal for fundraising was $4,756 because patronicity would then, Sustainable CT would then match that. And as of this evening, we have $6,345 donated. So we are impressed with the citizens and residents of Tolland. And also, I just wanted to mention that, this is really a group effort in town. Peggy mentioned Tolland Garden Paths as a partner that's very happy to be with us and working on this. The Conservation Corps, which we mentioned earlier, is doing tremendous work on this, including design, and I'm sure they'll be helping us out with construction. The Tolland Senior Center is very interested in this. They participated in the design originally, and they're going to continue to be involved. And in fact, there's going to be a little update in their newsletter coming out. Inland wetlands is going to be involved because we'll have to cross a stream at some point during the project. And the Department of Public Works has been instrumental in helping us with the design to date as far as the driveway and parking lot goes. So we are stretching, trying to get to more of the elements that go into the design beyond phase 1, if possible. And with this presentation tonight, what we really wanted to ask the town council actually is, do you have any questions for us on the project? Are you still on board with what we're doing in our fundraising here? And the other item is built into our budget has been somewhat of assumption that we'll be able to get support beyond design support, actual construction support from the Public Works Department. That is something that we're hoping will keep our costs in check, and we're to some degree counting on, and wanted to make sure tonight that the town council agreed that that's reasonable and something we can look to their support for in the future. So with that, I just would lastly mention that if we're going to reach this stretch goal, which would be implementing a number of the elements of phase 2 of the project and into phase 3, additional trails, benches, a bridge out to the silo. That means we do need to raise another $6,323 to meet that budget. So it is a stretch, but that's where we are. And I'd open the floor to any questions.
Thank you. Do you want to take down your screen?
Yes, let me do that. Stop sharing here.
So I do have a couple of questions. You mentioned that you guys are already up to, what was the amount you guys already have raised?
We have raised $6,345 as of my last look at the website.
That's great. Now, will Sustainable CT match that amount, or are they still going to just stay with the original match, which is the $47.56?
Yeah, their rules only allow them to match what we originally set up as our budget. So they will be matching $4,756 as of right now.
Okay. And you just mentioned phase 2 and 3 of the project would be trails, benches, and bridges, and that you estimate at $6,325.
That would be the additional amount we'd have to raise to fully implement that. And that does include, again, the help from DPW. So we aren't counting our construction costs for driveways, parking lots, and pathways, which we need some help on.
Okay. Do you guys have some detailed plans on exactly what you're hoping to get from DPW? Like what's your timeline, the project timeline, and when you'd be looking to do all those pieces?
Yeah, we are starting implementation. Our beginning point is going to be the pollinator garden and laying down the foundation for the labyrinth, and at least laying out the paths, the driveway, and the parking area. So if possible this summer, we would love to get the help of DPW sometime, anytime really after June 1st, I would say we'd be ready for their help. I don't know if any of the other members of my team here want to chime in on that, but that's what I'm anticipating.
I would also like to correct, Mr. Rubino is on the call. He texted me to say he was. I did not realize he was. So Ben, I see you just unmuted. So I'm assuming that you have something.
I was just going to echo what Jim said about the June 1st, because the campaign online is set to run through then. So it was a 45-day campaign started right around Earth Day. And while we were raising the funds, we do have, a more detailed the full 4-phase plan. And we were hoping to start these other conversations as we're closing out that fundraising, just to see a better picture of where we're at.
Okay, but you guys have a fully fleshed out phase 1 through 3 pretty much?
Yeah, pretty much. I think some of the design around the silo has not been finalized because there's a lot we can do there, and we're excited about that in the future. But the design elements we have to date that we've gotten some cost estimates on, which we've done internally, are through phase 1, 2, and 3, which are the pathways out to the silo, the bridge over the stream to the silo, and other paths across the meadow and through the woodland.
Well, I can't speak for everybody else, but I think if we can go over what you have there, I'd like to try to find a way to secure that for you guys this year. $6,325. If we're looking at the money that we have, that we haven't had expenses for this year, that's a rather small number. So I'm thinking maybe we can try to make that work. And as far as the DPW thing, Mike, from your perspective, what are the odds of getting any help from DPW if it's not within June, sometime throughout the summer? Like, well, actually, I guess the first question should be, Jim, is how long do you think you're going to need DPW for? Because I know that they have to schedule their work well ahead of time. So they probably already have plans right now. So if you have a good idea and plan of the time frame and what you're going to need from them, I think that might help with the conversation starter.
Yeah, I think we do, and others may want to chime in here, but the driveway and the parking lot area, we would be looking for probably just a day of work to do the excavation for those. They're a fairly simple affair. Will be gravel, and then clearing pathways as well. The parking lot and driveway will require, a couple of trips, because first the excavation happens, then we have to level off the area, put down some filter fabric, have the stone delivered. The stone then has to be laid out and compacted appropriately. So there are several steps there, but I think we're talking about probably 2 to 3 days worth of their labor, maybe not in full day chunks, but that's the type of amount of time we're considering. Is that about what we were thinking there, Ben? Do you have any other?
Yeah, that seems about right. And if Bob is on the phone and wants to add anything, feel free to speak up as well. He's been pretty pivotal in this, but I believe that is exactly what we've talked about.
Bob, if you want to unmute, if you have anything that you'd like to bring to the conversation. While he's contemplating that, Jim, is there an opportunity here for local businesses to maybe help with that? If DPW is booked out, would local businesses be able to kind of pitch in and help out if they want, like excavation companies or any kind of landscapers or anything? Is there anything that prohibits that?
No, that's actually part of our plan, is to reach out to local businesses to partner, or local organizations, as Jim listed several of them. Tolland Garden past the senior center, like that is part of the plan we are working on.
Yeah, I'm thinking, for the heavy work, we have a lot of landscaping companies here and excavators and that. So that might also be, if we run into a problem with procuring DPW, if their schedule is too big or too tight right now, maybe we can get some local businesses to chip in too. Bob, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Tammy. From the of camping in Rhode Island, it's great to be here. Yeah, I think the team did a really good job covering the various phases. Yes, DPW was a key element of helping move the project. But as Jim was explaining, this project has really broad community support and many opportunities for the community to participate. So yeah, I mean, if there are private contractors who are interested in doing excavation type work, that would be great. The key element of this is to get the drive and parking area, because that then becomes the staging area for this material to be delivered for the labyrinth. And then the follow on phase 2 and phase 3 activities. So I think it's just logical. June 1 is a good launch date because that's when we shut down the fundraising. And most important, my understanding is that's when Sustainable CT cuts us a check. I'll leave it at there.
Thank you, Bob. Brenda, your hand was up first.
I think Peggy might have something that she wanted to add to the questions that were asked.
Well, I was just going to add to what Bob had said. We've got the garden club coming out in early May, which is the right time to put in a new garden. And I think Bob and I are going to go out and map out the spot for the garden. So there will be some things that are starting sooner.
Perfect. Go ahead, Brenda.
Okay. So I just wanted to understand the stretch. The campaign is still open. Have you done another announcement that you've reached your goal and that we're stretching? And is that something we can share? Because I haven't seen it yet.
We have. Peggy, would you like to chime in on that?
Yes, I updated our patronicity site with the stretch goal and what we're going to use the stretch for. I'm still working with patronicity to get the bolded letters, the new amount, the 12,000 plus amount.
Okay.
If you go to the site now, you'll see the updates on it and the stretch amount.
Yes, I do see that. I will make sure that I get that shared for you guys up on social media. All my other questions were answered. Thank you so much. I love seeing this project moving ahead, moving so quickly. And I think it's going to be a huge asset to the town. So thank you everyone who's working on it. Really, truly appreciated.
Steve.
Yeah, Steve Jones. One question regarding the project, and some of this kind of eventually will loop probably back into the town manager, but will there be any need for identifiable signs leading from, say, the town green on Old Stafford or Sugar Hill in terms of directionally showing people, okay, if you go this way, it'll lead you to the park? Or I think it was a concern of one of the residents at the last conservation meeting about potential speeding, that there might have been an interest in having a speed sign put there over the summer to see if they could really get an idea of how bad the speeding is there, as well as possibly having a convex mirror installed. I know there's one on Merrill Road so that seniors and other individuals leaving that area get a better vantage point of the road entering and exiting.
Yeah, those are very good questions, Steve, and you're absolutely right. At our last meeting, a resident that lives across the street from the park, from the property, was concerned about the speed at which people travel down Sugar Hill Road. He was concerned for his own safety as well as the people going to the park, because he jogs along that road and says people go way beyond the 25, 30 mile an hour speed limit that's designated for the road. So it undoubtedly will be part of our ask in future phases for some kind of safety signage, as well as I'm not sure about the signs for direction to the park, possibly, but we hadn't considered that really at this point.
Okay.
We are considering signage on the property, limited signage, because we do want to keep the conservation theme of this park front and center and foremost, which is why we sometimes hesitate to call it a park. It is a conservation area, and we're trying to maintain that character, especially with things like the paths and benches. We would lean towards the more rustic and fitting for the setting. So that's part of our thinking. I would mention one thing, that with the whole phased approach and the timing on some of these elements, we were so surprised by the success of the funding that it took us a little back on where we are in the project, and we're happy to move forward with the elements of additional phases if we can get that money raised and get the help we need. But we are continuing to think through it in greater detail as we go.
And then one final question: as phase one, or as this phase one is completed, and there'll probably be another patronicity for the additional phases. Are there other events that'll be held on the site or nearby at Sage Meadow to help raise additional funds towards the project?
Yeah, we're going to continue to fundraise until we can get the full project done. So it's front and center on our agenda each month. And one of the things that has led to the success of this fundraising, I have to mention, is our Conservation Corps, along with interested residents, have been doing what they call star parties for some time now. They have brought telescopes and high-powered binoculars out to several of our conservation areas, held events open to town residents, and people have come by to look at the stars, and it's been quite the gatherings. The attendance has been fantastic. Sometimes we've had to add nights because it's been so popular, 40, 50 people coming out to an event. And they've been wonderful, a real community building kind of thing. And those folks have been many of our contributors to date. They really love the idea of this labyrinth that will double as a star viewing platform.
Great, thank you. And one final question, possibly for Peggy, since I know they worked a lot with Abe for the fundraising. Are residents who already donated, are they able to update their donation, or do they have to make a subsequent new donation to help meet those stretch goals?
I believe that they just put in another donation.
Okay. All right, that covers it for me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Steve. And Lou and Sophia, before I get to you, I see we have Scott Lappin who joined. Thank you for joining, Scott. I'm sure we kind of got you at an inopportune time, but thank you. No, I see that face. But thank you very much for joining. So actually, they just brought something up that I think is something that you can possibly help answer. Obviously, if there's an issue that requires a concave mirror, and that, do you see that area as needing any kind of traffic remediation? Should we put in a driveway or a parking lot there?
You gotta bring me up to speed. I just chiming in late. This is over on Sugar Hill.
On Sugar Hill, yeah, it's the Wannet Park property there. So
Okay.
Conservation has put together a plan, and they've done a fundraising activity, and they exceeded their goal, and they're going to start working on what they considered phase one of the project, which was a labyrinth and some ADA trails and a pollinator path. And they were looking at putting in a gravel parking lot and a driveway area. So they were trying to see if there's any leeway in your plans anywhere to be able to provide a day or two max of labor to kind of help excavate that area and bring in the gravel. And I'm wondering if we have that capacity. Also, I know you guys are super scheduled out, but I don't know if there's any kind of wiggle room and capacity in there. And also what Steve just brought up was some concerns around traffic. And the possibility of having to have a concave mirror, just so people can see coming in and out. I know it's a fairly straight road though, so I don't know that,
Right.
I don't know if, I'm not seeing in my head, which is why, you're here and not me, why we need the concave mirror there, but I'm assuming any kind of traffic remediation, you would definitely be the guy to talk to.
Well, between myself, the town manager, and Kevin Eklund, we kind of pulled together the Legal Traffic Authority. Kevin is always willing to go out with me and take a look at different areas of concern. And if we felt that would be helpful, I wouldn't be opposed to something like that. Unfortunately, sometimes they seem to be a attractant for nuisance, if you will. Kids enjoy throwing rocks, shooting at them, what have you, and they become an expensive means of providing, what you're looking for, the vision pulling out. Again, it is an area that's relatively straight. My suggestion would be that we, once this is up and running and operational, see if there are a lot of complaints, see if there are any issues, and then we can address it. We don't like to, we have a lot of complaints about residents in town about sign pollution, trying to keep the number of signs and traffic control devices to a minimum, but we have to maintain obviously safety at the same time. Again, my recommendation would be to see how things go, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
As far as helping out, I don't have a problem helping out. When this whole thing started and Jim spoke to me and Bob Rubino spoke to me about it, my concern is that they were going for a grant. I'm not a professional engineer, and most of the time it's much better received by the funding party if there's a professional stamp on the application or the plan. If the Conservation Commission wants to go out and say, okay, this is the area we want you to excavate, I don't have a problem sending a couple of our crew out there with some equipment and trucks, and then even spreading processed gravel in the driveway.
Scott, you just made my night. You just made me a very happy woman.
Well, there we go.
Okay, so can then Mike, the logistics between that, I'm assuming you, Scott, Kevin, Jim Hutton, you
Yep.
guys can kind of sit down and think about how, where, when that would work. Jim, does that help you guys?
Yeah, that helps tremendously. We're very appreciative of that. It would be fantastic to get that kind of help. To answer one of Scott's questions, the grant did not require designs at that level. So we've received our grant money, or going to receive our grant money without that. It would be
Okay.
more up to the town for you and Mike to tell us, do we need more than, just doing our best to follow the guidelines that you provided for us. Thank you for those. And, we would certainly do our best to follow the town guidelines on the driveway and the parking lot when it comes to specifications, but we were not at this point anticipating hiring an engineer. That would be an additional expense beyond our budget at the moment.
Okay.
Yep.
I know there was discussion early on whether you wanted to have it one vehicle wide or two vehicles wide, so that somebody exiting while another one was entering. Those are things that I'm going to leave up to you folks to determine. And then once that's all been finalized, then we can go out there and we can lay this out and figure out a plan of attack for us to come in and clean it out and put in the processed gravel.
That would be great.
Yeah, this is good. I think this is going to work out well. And Jim, you guys are pretty solid with phase 2 and 3. So with the stretch goal money that you have and that, and if it's the $6,000, we can all sit down and talk about trying to find that money in the budget or anywhere else. If that's going to get you all the way through stage 3, you think that'll take you all the way through to the end of the summer, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think that would get us through stage 3, basically. Obviously there'll be a stage 4 we're going to fundraise again for, but that'll be a pleasure because we'll have a lot of this done and be able to show people what's there now or what's been achieved and what comes next. I will mention one thing on the safety issue. The place where this park is, there's a fairly long straightaway along the frontage. But as you get to the stream, which is at the northeast end of the property, it dips down, the road dips down to the stream and then bends to the left. This is across from the old Guttier farm, Scott, up in that area.
Yeah.
So when you get to that stream, that dip in the road and the bend after it are what creates the concern. We had options on where to put that driveway to go into the property, and we opted for the northeast side, which is a little less desirable safety wise, but we were trying to respect the privacy of the property owner who is surrounded right now by the park. So that was another key issue. So our driveway would enter the property very near that private residence property line. But on that side of the property, they have some open space and the side of their garage, not windows looking straight out onto it. And then we would veer away from the house as the driveway went in, kind of in an S shape. So we're trying to respect the privacy while getting the most we can out of the safety elements.
Okay.
So that brings up a really good point, that house there, we want to make sure that we have as much as we can in the way of privacy screening between where the driveway is, the parking lot and all of that, and lights, or especially with star parties and that. So I'm assuming you guys have all of that taken into consideration. I know you do. I'm 99.999 infinity sure you do, but I just want to make sure we bring that up.
Yeah, the very nice thing is the Yonkers who live there participated in the charrette for the design and were informed and well informed about what we were doing. They brought up their concerns at that time, and we certainly are doing the best we can to respect that. In fact, the design that we chose was the one with the parking area and the driveway on the garage side of their property, as opposed to the other side of their property, which is an area that they look more directly out on, with windows from their house and the swimming pool they have out back. And they're very nice people. We talk to them every time we're out there. Mrs. Unkert's often in the backyard with her dog, and getting to know her a little well, although she tells us she's going to retire soon and move down to Florida. So if anybody wants to buy her house as the next senior center, they can do that.
Perfect. Lou?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First off, I'd like to again state my appreciation and to Jim and his team, to everybody on the Conservation Commissions for all the work that they've done on this. It's just amazing. Looking at the plans, looking at the ideas, I think it's outstanding and a great use for that property. So thank you for all the work that you've done. Madam Chair, with regard to the issues that you brought up as far as the funding, I would fully support and endorse looking for any funding sources that we may have on the town side through the cost efficiencies that we found during our budget discussions to offset any expenses that may not be covered by the donations that the Conservation Commission is looking for. So I think that's something that we can examine after the appropriate time. And because I think that that the funding that they're looking for, the $6,000, is something that, again, with the cost efficiencies that we had in the budget, that we could probably cover, or anything else that the donations don't cover. The second question, or the second issue that I have, is more directed towards Mr. Rosen, as more of an inquiry. Is this something where I know that that, as we were saying about how it was brought up earlier about other people or other businesses, local businesses, possibly donating their time and their efforts to sort of build upon what Scott's already laid out. Is that something that we could, since the commission is part of the commissions is under the town council and under the town, is this something that we could put out for, like, basically not a solicitation, but an announcement saying that we are now in this phase of this development for the conservation area, and anyone that's interested, any businesses that might be able to donate time or effort to finish off go on to the next phase, just sort of put it out there to all the other businesses. So it's not just the Conservation Commission that's going out there and doing it on whatever avenues that they have, but the town actually going out there and endorsing, or not endorsing, but putting it out there on the town sponsored website, the Facebook page, anything else that we might be able to attract any other businesses or any other people that might want to donate their time and effort.
Okay, so that's probably a good question for the town attorney. I would say that to your first point, the Conservation Commission actually is appointed by the town manager, so it doesn't work directly for council, but certainly all works together. So I'd have to look into if there's any issue with, like, conflict of interest or donating time from a private business to a municipal project, because in a way you're sort of taking work from, I don't know if anybody has the right, Jim's raising his hand there, but I would have to look into that, Lou, unless Jim, did you have something specific to that?
I just wanted to add, Mike, that we do have, certain public spaces around town that are adopted by local businesses for landscaping, et cetera. I would not put this particular thing in the same category, but thinking of the idea, the conservation areas often need work on the parking areas that are in those conservation areas. I'm wondering if that's another thing that local construction and landscape companies could adopt, is the parking areas for the various conservation areas.
Not bad.
Okay, so I would talk to the town attorney just to see if that's down the line anyways, but I could try to have an answer for, next meeting. I'll talk to Rick.
All right. I mean, like I said, it's not anything that I think is time urgent right now, at least at this point, but it's something that at least we could start taking a look into, so we could formulate a cohesive game plan moving forward to know what the realm of possibilities for working on this project.
And then just in terms of the municipal savings, I know that was brought up before too. Really the best and only way to really do that would be for work that happens prior to the new fiscal year starting July 1st. So if we had work that was done, I heard June mentioned a few times, that would be eligible for that. But after July, we'd have to be looking into next year's budget.
Roger. Okay. Thank you very much. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Rosen.
So then we need to consider that, Jim, like the deadline for the town spending is like June 30th. So if we can, now Mike, I don't know if we have contracts, if we could encumber or not, but that's all something I think we can kind of sit down. My dog is barking because somebody's coming in the house.
Yeah, I mean, if work is committed and let's say you're doing it at the end of June, but the bill comes after July 1st, well, you can still charge it to this fiscal year because the work happened in this fiscal year. Let's see what the timeline looks like, and perhaps this could be done in June to just avoid any issues of spilling into the new year.
Yeah. Okay, so there's logistics there. There's logistics to work out. Sorry, next I have Steve.
I was actually going to let Councilor Regan go first, so everybody has a chance, and actually then Sophia can go after me, since I want to let everybody have a chance to speak first before we go second round of talking.
All right, John.
Madam Chair, I'd like to agree with what part of Mr. Lubo was saying about that $6,000. If we can find a way to make that happen, I would fully support that. I think this is an amazing project, and it will be a great asset to the town. And I would like to personally thank everybody that was involved in it. So I do support that if we can find a way to do it.
Perfect. I appreciate your support. Sophia?
I just wanted to make a recommendation, if it hasn't already been considered, that we could plan a groundbreaking and send out a media advisory, and then the Conservation Commission and anyone that is invited would be able to speak to the press and let them know that where we stand and where we're hoping to go. But I think that a groundbreaking, traditional with the shovels and everything else, and any other people that would be interested to attend with the media would help to, ameliorate the burden of, us going out to solicit on our own. It would bring the media to us, and then anyone else that would be interested to donate might see that as an attractive thing to do. And I don't know if it's a common thing to do, but I know that in some places, in some municipalities, they take like a brick of some of the concrete that will be laid and just acknowledge the different people that have contributed to helping to get the project off the ground. Those are, I don't know if they're called boosters or what they're related to, or with benches being donated by family members. But I think that it would be, having it, with everyone being so locked up in a way, having a groundbreaking where we have the shovels, stick them in the ground, take a photo op and get that out there, it may be able to help. So I'm not sure if it's something that goes with that we're allowed to do.
Good question. I think, we had mentioned, I know, Jim, you were at the thing with when we talked about all the different projects, we mentioned doing like a buy a brick program for everybody, but you're getting great turnout from already from community response. So that's also something that we can consider for sure.
Yeah, great opportunity.
Yeah. And then everybody gets to have their name on the project. Buy a brick. It reminds me of Disney. Steve.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think Jim covered most of the question that I was going to ask. In regards to the Unkerts, will they be notified through the commission or through Public Works when the day arrives that they're there doing work, just to give them a heads up of, or give them a heads up of the day when they're going to arrive? That might be a good idea, just in terms of that constant communication.
That's a very good idea, Steve. It wasn't formally in our plans, but certainly it's always on our mind to keep them informed. And we do stop by and say hello every time we see them when we're out there, which is typically every time we're out there. They're very interested in what's going on in their backyard.
And then I forget if it was covered in one of the past meetings, but were the other markers on the kind of the far north side near the silo covered? Because I know, I think early in the process when you were doing site walks, there was concerns about abutting neighbors kind of coming in and out of the property and not knowing what was the wanted property and what wasn't.
Yeah, I think we settled those issues. There was a little trespass going on, but it had some historic precedence. So it was just a matter of informing the people that were coming onto the property that this was no longer their playground or their backyard. So I think they got the idea.
Okay.
On the fundraising and bricks and things like that, which are a great idea, but again, we're trying to keep this a conservation area, and there may not be areas where we're going to actually put down bricks, although there are the block that might be the separating points around the labyrinth. So that might be a good place where we could find a way to do that. So I think we will try to work it into our plan. I don't think we'll have any formal, brick sidewalks as you do in front of the art center in town on the green. So we probably won't have that kind of opportunity.
Well,
Okay, great. Thank you.
I leave it in your very trustworthy hands to figure out the best way to go with this and initiate it. And I'm thrilled that Mr. Lappin was able to join, and we were able to get some movement with all of that, and having the town side kick in on this too, and have the conversation about looking at the next couple of stages here. So I thank you very much for joining, Jim. This has been great. I'm super excited and thrilled. I can't wait to see. And by any means, if we have an opportunity for people to come down and volunteer and help, I promise not to touch anything that gets planted that has to live. So
that's Peggy's area, and we do have to acknowledge again that Public Works has been fantastic, and Scott personally to help us out with design. He's provided some great information that's helped us go in the right direction and not get lost in it. So again, we thank them for all they've done.
yeah, absolutely. That we have great people here, all looking to try to do what's best. So I appreciate that. Mike, I don't know if we need any kind of anything formal to motion to talk about being able to put some money toward this by the end of the year, or how do you want to handle that?
I would say not at this moment. I think what we're doing, and I've been talking with Lisa offline, we're going to probably try to figure out where we're coming in as we near June about our savings situation, and and also with regards to the rules about contracting before the new fiscal year. Even if the work may not be done by July 1st, we've been engaged in the contract and everything. So we'll let us figure all that out. But we've heard you, and we understand that we'd like to put some savings towards this.
Okay, so I don't know if you want us to do a straw poll just to get everybody's input on that, but I think overall you've probably got the majority here that are in agreement with doing something to help out, but I'd gladly do a straw poll if that helps. Lisa's shaking her head, so.
Sure, with Lisa's enthusiasm.
All right, so then
It can't hurt.
yeah, it can't hurt, right? So I guess I'm going to ask that whether or not the town council is supportive of us putting some money, that approximately, hopefully no more than, what do we have here? We'll round it up and say $6,400 by the end of the year to help the Want It project get through phase 3 of their build. If there's money left at the end of the year, are we all supportive of putting something towards this project? I'm going to go around. Brenda.
Aye.
Sophia.
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Lou,
Aye.
Kurt.
Aye.
I am an aye also. That is unanimous. So you have the full support of the town council to help get this project moving. And I can't wait for the next, when's the next stargazing? Where's Bob? When's the next stargazing? When are we going to have a stargazing on the path? Fall, right?
June 18th.
June 18th. You're really ambitious.
Bob Star Clock is very accurate, so.
Yeah, it looks like it's glorious. So,
And
All right,
those
thank
events, those night events, just so everyone knows, are not so regular that they would be, all the time. They're usually at the equinox and a few other times a year, so they're not going to be a constant.
yes. Well, thank you guys all for coming. I appreciate you coming and doing the presentation, and I appreciate the teamwork across the board. So thank you. And if you guys don't want to stay on for the last bit of our meeting, I will not hold it against you.
Okay. Well, thank you very
Have a
much
good
for the
night.
opportunity. Really
Have a
appreciate
good night. Bye, Scott. Thank you for joining us.
Certainly. See ya.
it. Bye-bye.
So that gets us to 8.4, consideration on the action approving the building permit technician job description.
Great. Hi, everybody. Mike Rosen, Town Manager. I'm also joined by Mike Wilkinson, the Director of Administrative Services. There's a position in the building office currently for Administrative Secretary 2, Roman numeral 2. And we're anticipating a vacancy in the near future for that role. So it gives us the opportunity to revamp the job that the incumbent person has been actually truly doing, which is work that's actually probably above what an administrative secretary 2 normally would do. So based on the level of building activity and the technical knowledge that the incumbent has, we've revised the job description and retitled it Building Permit Technician, so that when a new person starts, they would be going into this job title and classification, as this new position would better suit the needs of the building official and the overall development department. So to recap again, if the incumbent, as we expect, moves on to another position, then it'll free up the job so that we would reclassify the job at that point, and from administrative secretary to building permit technician. I don't know if Mike, is there anything you want to add to that? It is
No,
a union
it's a new
too.
job position.
Yeah.
It's slightly, the pay is slightly higher, about $2 more. That funding will come from our personnel contingency to make up that difference. We have had some issues with retention in this position, and I think this will help a lot to keep someone hopefully in the job for a long period. Obviously, building activity is happening a lot now, and the building official really needs a good support person. So by doing this new position, that'll really help in that regard.
Okay, so what's the net impact on this one here by changing it?
It's about $4,000.
And from the perspective of, are they going to be doing the same job that they're doing now, just with the right title, or do you expect that they're going to be taking on more responsibility with it?
Well, it's a similar job, but as mentioned, I mean, this job has kind of changed over the years, and I don't think really the job description kept up with it. So they're doing, where maybe traditionally a secretary would do secretarial work, but this job is actually dealing with the people at the counter, actually interpreting plans and things like that. So it's more involved than just a normally support person to the building official, because there is only one building official. So when he's out doing inspections and such, you need someone who could be there to interpret any plans or anything like that, give guidance to people who come in to the office, to the counter. So that's what this person will do.
Okay.
Also.
All right, that helps me. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Just a comment.
Oh, sorry, Steve. I didn't even see your hand pop up. I'm so sorry.
No worries. I figured I saw you look towards my hand. I know it's on the camera, so you probably actually didn't see it up. But no, I was just going to say I had a prior conversation, I think, with Town Manager Rosen about it, and I appreciate it's kind of bittersweet every time someone that Jim has under them kind of moves on and moves up in their career professionally. So it's good that we're revising the language of this position so that the next person that comes in can really see it more as a longer term position rather than a secretarial position that, you know, is kind of a step up for experience. So just wanted to appreciate that they taking the opportunity that's in front of us to make that change.
All right, anybody else? No, all right, Steve?
All right, Steve Jones, I would make a motion that be it resolved by the Tolland Town Council that it hereby approves the attached CSEA Union Group Building Permit Technician job description approved by the Tolland Town Council on April 27th, 2021.
Brenda Fluce, I will second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, Brenda,
Aye.
Sophia,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Lou,
Aye.
Kurt,
Aye.
I'm an aye, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Gets us to
Thank
8.5
you.
appointments. You're very welcome, Mike. Now I'm supposing you want to drop off, you can drop off. You don't have to stick around. We're dropping like flies tonight. Appointments to vacancies on various municipal boards and commissions. Do we have any tonight, Mike?
Nope, none tonight.
Didn't think so. No new business. That gets us to 10, report of the town manager.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Mike Rosen, Town Manager. It was already mentioned earlier tonight about the first meeting of the Mental Health and Substance Use Advisory Task Force. We're going to need an acronym for that. It's very long.
It is. I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, it's just coming up with, it's way too many letters.
Yep, and it was mentioned already that the regular meeting schedule in the future will be the first and third Mondays at 7 p.m. That is a board that is comprised of 11 regular members and 2 alternates, but there is an alternate vacancy still available. So if anybody wishes to apply, please send an email to vacancies@tolland.org for the other alternate spot. The other thing I just wanted to mention, really, I'll keep my report short tonight. The big one is everybody referendum is May 4th, next Tuesday, at the Rec Center Gym, 104 Old Post Road. You can vote between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. There are 2 ballot questions. Everybody in town should have received 2 pamphlets over the past 2 weeks on the 2 questions. One is specific to the fire station project. The other is to the overall budget in town, includes the Board of Ed and the town and the debt and capital. Absentee ballots are still available. It's still an option, but with the short time frame between now and next Tuesday, it's better not to rely on the postal mail. So if you're going to do the absentee application, it's best that you print it out and drop it off to the clerk's office or into the ballot, not the ballot box, I'm sorry, into the box outside of the human service entrance or the library entrance at Town Hall, parking lot A and parking lot C, so that it can be turned around. But better yet, it would be good if you could go see the clerk and have it done directly that way. If you don't want to vote at the polls next Tuesday, absentee ballots can only be accepted through to Kathy until Monday of next week. If you want to do an absentee ballot on the day of the referendum, you have to do it through the ballot box. You can't hand Kathy your absentee ballot on Tuesday, because the point is that you could go to the polls if you're going to do it that way. So anyway, that's long story short is please everybody go out and vote at the referendum for the 2 questions. Thank you.
Between you and Steve, you guys stole all my thunder on my report tonight, so I'm still going to reiterate. Let's see, adoption of minutes.
All right, so I assume for this, we will probably want to break these out into 3 individual votes. So I know Councilor Johnson will have to abstain from 11.1 and 11.2, and then I think 11.3, Councilor Felicio is not at the annual budget presentation. So I'll just go ahead and do one motion at a time. So I didn't entertain a motion. Oh, sorry, go
Even
ahead.
if you're not there, we can still
Oh,
vote
that's correct. Right.
to accept the minutes. That's all we're doing is accepting the minutes. So
Right.
it's
I keep
not,
on forgetting
we,
that.
we don't have to have been there. So Ms. Johnson is even able to vote.
Okay. I forget that. I always assume that if you're not at the meeting, you have to abstain because other boards and commissions do that. So sorry about that. So in that case, I'll just keep all three together. Steve Jones, I make a motion that we adopt the minutes as laid out in 11.1, 11.2, and 11.3.
This is Brenda Felucci, I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Brenda,
Aye.
Sophia,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Lou,
Aye.
Kurt,
Aye.
I'm an aye. It's unanimous. Thank you guys very much. Correspondence to council.
Thank you. We only received a handful of emails. The first email was about solar farms and sheep.
Sheep.
It was sheep. It's an article that a few towns are that have solar farms may be getting sheep to cut the grass under the solar panels. So it was a short, interesting read. I've seen it done in other states too. So it was a suggestion, I guess, if, I mean, we have one solar farm. It's not as large as these solar farms that people are talking about, but I thought that was something very interesting to keep in mind. I'd also like to put a plug in the front of the Tolland Middle School would be perfect place to put some solar panels, just saying. We received an email about building bridges and not taking sides. We received an email about the notice of a community awareness program that's unfortunately being done right now. The first day and the second session is tomorrow. And then we received a question on collaboration of town departments with outside organizations. And that's all I had for emails. I was in Zoom meetings constantly since 2 o'clock when I got my braces off. So I did not check since then. If there's anything else, I apologize if I missed it.
Congratulations. It's a joyous day. All right, chairperson's report. Everybody already said what I was going to say. Budget referendum, May 4th. No excuse, absentee ballots available now. Voting at the rec center. And if any counselors are available, Steve mentioned this earlier, but the forestry management plan that's happening this Thursday at 5:30. If you want to make that, it's at the Parsiac. Is it Parsiac, right, Steve? The Parsiac on Bald Hill. And they're going to be looking at all the damage of the trees. This is something that is a pretty big issue in town. I think they were estimating like 30 to 40% of our trees have damage from the ash borer and gypsy moth issues. So looking at the forest management plan, if anybody has time on Thursday at 5:30, I can make sure you guys get that information if you don't already have it. That's it for me. Communications and petitions from council persons. Anybody got anything for me tonight? By the way, Mike, I have a new list that I'm going to be sending you, so we can sit down and talk about some upcoming agenda items and that. All right, Brenda.
Sorry, I missed the unmute. Okay. I forgot to tell you about the census. I know we haven't been having any meetings, but yesterday the census released their, I'm going to mispronounce this, appropriationment results. Did I get that right? It's the
Apportionment.
Apportionment, thank you. I can't even blame it on the braces anymore, can I? So the United States has 331,449,281 Americans. That is up 7.4% from 2010. The state of Connecticut, where did I write this? Had a 1% population increase over the last 10 years. We are now at 3,605,944. And we did not lose or gain a seat for the Congress. So we stayed the same. Tolland did an absolutely excellent job. I'm going to reiterate again because I'm just so proud of what we did. We had an 84.4% self-reporting, which is phenomenal. Top in the state, top in the region. We did awesome. Just to let you know how important it was, the state of New York lost one seat by 89 people.
Yep.
If they had counted 89 more people, they would not have lost a seat. So there's a lot of information up on census.gov. It is just by state. It has not gone down to towns or regions or anything like that yet. So it's just by state right now. They had their press release yesterday. So that was a report I forgot to do. I apologize. So for my, I have 5 things listed here. First, happy 2-year anniversary to the Birch Grove Building Committee. I bet you didn't know that this is 2 years since you guys have been formed. So happy anniversary. I also want to note that this is National Work Zone Awareness Week. Normally what we end up doing is celebrating for the week and doing a food drive at Big Y with one of our public works trucks. But COVID times, and we also know that our food pantry is in excellent shape right now. You know, we've had very generous donors in our community. I wanted to reiterate, 2 years ago, I said that, you know, Tolland really needs a strategic plan. We really need to have input and prioritize things like, you know, we're taking a look at the fire department project right now. If we had been prioritizing upkeep of those buildings, we might not be in the situation we are right now. So I'd love to see us revisit the idea of having a strategic plan where the residents are giving us input on where they want us to invest and preserve. The last 2 things is we have a lot of boards and commissions that have Facebook pages that share information about their meetings and things that are happening in Tolland with them. I look at those and I feel almost guilty that they're not getting the reach that our Town of Tolland webpage does. Can we share, you know, if they're going to be putting information about their meetings or about surveys and stuff, can the Town of Tolland also share that information on their Facebook page? Because the amount of reach is just so much more from our town page compared, you know, we're talking thousands compared to maybe only dozens on the smallest populated of those pages. So I'd like us to consider that. And
I'm writing that down, but I wanted to let you know that on the list of things that I'm looking at is the request on how we communicate with people. So please, if I don't remember, bring this back up when we talk about that there.
Okay. I would like to see us really jump on this quicker because these boards and commissions are in their infancy, and to give them, you know, a good jump, a good healthy jump start, I think we need to be doing this now for them. You know, and I'm talking just, I'm not talking about them sharing articles and stuff. I'm talking about them sharing meetings and surveys and stuff. You know, we do that for a lot of other things. I think it would be good for us to do it for our assigned, you know, the boards and commissions that we oversee. And the last thing, I wasn't sure if you guys wanted me to do the brochures and if we wanted to make a decision on the display, because that is happening May 7th. So that needs to be acted on quickly if we want, they only do this once a year, so.
Good point. We didn't talk about that after you brought it up. Mike, do you guys have the capability to print off brochures? Like I know like Brenda said, we've had some brochures already. Brenda, do you have any idea how many you would need?
I could take as many as you want and swap. I would be diligent in my and selective in which communities we swap with. Like, you know, I think we would want me to be swapping with drivable, close, you know, towns. You know, unfortunately, we're right on the edge of our region. So it's like Coventry's not in our region. So I wouldn't be swapping with Coventry, but I could be swapping with Vernon, Bolton. I'd have to see who else is around. And I'm not even sure because again, this is COVID times. I'm not sure how many people are going to have brochures and stuff. So, and I don't know how much, you know, I wouldn't even do this if we don't have a place to display them. It's a swap. you know.
Yeah, no, if you let me know, which brochures and how many copies, we can print those up, yeah. And then in terms of where we would put them at town hall, I think you had identified on the third floor by the planning office, there's that wooden structure where there's all the little, brochures. Probably if there's room there, that's where we would do it.
Right, or if you, because of COVID times, if you wanted to reduce the amount of people walking in, right at the front off the Tolland Green, you have that bookcase there. That could be a place that we keep them for now so that people aren't walking through during COVID.
Okay.
It's just a suggestion,
No, both are good ideas.
That's a good spot because you just walk in the door and there's like usually the yearly magazine and all that there. So that's a good spot. People don't have to walk all the way in if they want to grab them there.
Especially if I'm encouraging people to walk the town green, and they'd be able to stop in and be able to pick up brochures about, what's happening in town and, what happens around the area. So.
Perfect. Anything else, Brenda? That was 5.
Yes, that was 5.
Got them all. Okay. Sophia.
I just wanted to thank you, Madam Chair. There was in town of North Hempstead, they released the northern bob white quails to help with the tick problem that they had there. So I'm not sure if that's something that has been considered with regard to doing to ameliorate the problem that we're having with ticks. So they hatch the eggs themselves, and then they release them so that the quails can eat the ticks. I don't know if that's something that our DPW would consider, and if it's been studied with if the quails would have any environmental impact. But I just figured that I would share that with you because it was a successful program that they ran out there.
That's something, it's definitely something worth asking. I don't know if it would be DPW, but let me see what I can find out about that. That's interesting.
I'll send you the article. And Judy Bosworth, the town supervisor there, you would love her. You would love her. But it was a great initiative that someone, I think it was one of their residents, mentioned instead of using pesticides to use the quails, and they actually entertained it, and you'd be able to dig in with them, or Mike would be able to dig in with them and see the success of the program. And we'll have more birds to look at.
Yeah. I love birds. Brenda, don't you have button quail, right? Button.
Yes, I do. And they're closely related in size and stuff. And I'm extremely hesitant about releasing a non-native. I don't know if they're native to this area. But, also they would become prey animals. How many of you guys have seen, the hawks go?
I don't want to talk about the hawks. I don't want to talk about the hawks.
And, we're 40 square miles. I don't know how much, coverage this would be.
Well, they did only about 2 dozen. They did only about 2 dozen just so that they can study, just to see if it would work. But there are different quails for different regions, but it's just a more humanitarian and of course circle of life effort that may help with the tick population. So it's not that I would say that it would be, ideal for here, but it's worth exploring. That's all that I'm recommending, that it's worth exploring as an option.
Yeah, send the info. Send the info. That's fine.
I will. Absolutely, I will. Thank you.
No problem. Steve.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One potential request for consideration would be a liaison to the Zoning Board of Appeals, perhaps, in part due to it being, I think, the only elected board that we don't have a liaison to. Second, and I'm usually a positive person, so I feel bad bringing some news that isn't great. Is at their most recent meeting, the ZBA couldn't take action, and there were multiple residents that were upset due to not being able to meet quorum to take action. And I guess one resident asked if this was a habitual issue, and after some digging, it did seem as though that the ZBA is habitually short 1 or 2 either members or alternates to successfully conduct business. And I know we don't have direct oversight over them, but perhaps maybe communication from my caucus to our DTC chair, and perhaps maybe through your caucus to Chairwoman Burns to the ZBA members there on their side, just to remind them of the importance of serving and being able to make time for that board. Just because I did hear that there were a couple residents, one on the green, who was not very happy that they couldn't proceed with their application because of a quorum issue.
All right, why don't we work on that? Steve, you and I, we can sit down and we can reach out to both
Yeah.
boards and we'll put together some kind of communication, just to kind of figure out what's going on, if there's anything that, you know, they need help with or anything. And we can reach out to the two organizations. I'm good with that. Lou.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be brief in my comments. First off, I'd like to welcome Ms. Johnson to the council. Really looking forward to working with you. I think that knowing your background and your history, that you have a lot to offer the town. So welcome aboard. The second issue is with regard to the referendum. Just want to go officially on the record in saying that I'm asking people to go out, make sure that they vote on the referendum, especially with regard to the firehouse issue. This is something that we need to move forward on. That I think that it's something that is an outstanding project. That as my votes have spoken in the last at the last meeting, when we addressed both the budget as well as the firehouse going on a referendum, I supported both, and I'm asking people to support both as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Lou. Anybody else? No, all right, no more petitions. I have everything here. Let's see, that gets us to communications and petition. Nope, just did that one. Public participation. Any subject in the jurisdiction of the town council, 3-minute limit. If you're on a device, please raise your hand. If you're on a phone, it's *9 and I call on you, state your name and address for the record. Ben, you come up as BTC.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't change from my work login, so I tried.
That's okay. I know who you are.
Ben Christensen, 97 Virginia Lane. I just want to make a point to say that I'm making these comments not as a member of the Conservation Commission, but as a private citizen. I just want to say that we are like inundated daily with bad and decisive news, and the amount of support we have seen for this project is just really overwhelming in a good way. And to have that reiterated tonight by every member of the council on this call is just amazing. So I wanted to say, as a resident in town, thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Really, you know, I appreciate, I know we all do, but, you know, I'm speaking for myself. I absolutely appreciate the volunteerism that goes into it. And, you know, one thing, I've lived here for more years than I want to count now, but we've always been very conservation and open space minded in Tolland. And it's easy to say that. It's hard to actually maintain that and do that. And you guys just do such an amazing job. And I think the community truly appreciates it. And like you said, you may not always hear it, but I think when you put out something like this in 36 hours, you met your goal and you've exceeded your goal. And you now, through this meeting, you know, I've got texts from businesses saying, you know, I'll volunteer. What do we need to do? You know, I think when it matters in this town, we come together and this matters. So, you know, thank you very much for what you guys are doing. I truly do appreciate it. Anybody else? Oh, all right, Steve.
All right, Steve Jones, I make a motion to adjourn at 9:18 p.m.
Brenda Flusy, I will second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Brenda,
Aye.
Sophia,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Lou,
Aye.
Kurt.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Thank you guys. Have a good night. See you in a couple of weeks.
See y'all later.
Aye.
Thank you all.